Well, gourmets and lovers of all things natural, put your sandwich aside. Seriously, place it calmly on the table and step away from it. Don't make any sudden movements. We're just going to talk about food. You think a supermarket is a food store? Oh no, it is an exhibition of chemical industry achievements and marketing hypnosis. We tend to believe that if a label shows a grandmother in a headscarf or a happy cow, the product was made with love, when in fact it was made with a cynicism that any card hustler would envy. Today we will expose 33 products that only pretend to be food. Brace yourselves. Now we're going to rip the mask off your dinner. It will hurt, it will be funny, and it will make you a little hungry. Fact 1. Wasabi is just horseradish and makeup. You sit in a sushi bar, dip your roll into green paste, and feel that familiar hit in your nose that clears your chakras and reminds you of all your youthful sins. Real Japanese flavor, you think? And now hold on to the table. In 99 cases out of 100, you are not eating wasabi, you are eating ordinary familiar horseradish that has simply been dyed green and mixed with a little mustard for heat. Real wasabi root is a capricious plant that costs as much as an airplane wing, around €250 per kilogram. It must be grated on a sharkskin grater. Seriously, right before serving, because it loses its flavor in 15 minutes. What lies on your plate next to the ginger is a dyed mixture of starch, horseradish, and food coloring E13. So congratulations, you are paying for exoticism but eating the same thing your grandmother served with aspic, just in profile. Fact 2. Crab sticks have never seen the sea, let alone a crab. Let's be honest, no one in their right mind thinks these pink cylinders contain Kamchatka crab meat. But we still like to hope they at least sat next to a crab on the store shelf. Or that a crab crawled past the factory and waved a claw. Reality is much harsher. Crab sticks are the sausages of the fish world. They are made from surimi. It sounds mysterious in Japanese, but in reality it is fish paste made from everything that couldn't be sold whole. Pollock, blue whiting, hake, and other small sea creatures. The fish is ground up, washed repeatedly until only a tasteless white protein remains, then generously seasoned with starch, soy, egg white, flavor enhancers, and aromas. The red stripe on top is just carmine or paprika to please your eye. Essentially, a crab stick relates to real crab the same way an inflatable doll relates to true love. Looks similar, warms no soul. Fact 3. Truffle oil is perfume for your fries. Ah, that smell of luxury. Truffle oil on a restaurant menu instantly adds a couple of zeros to the price of a dish. You order it, inhale that powerful earthy aroma, and think, this is la dolce vita. You imagine specially trained pigs searching for mushrooms in the forests of Piedmont. Let me disappoint you. In most bottles labeled truffle oil, there isn't even a trace of real truffle. The entire aroma comes from a synthetic compound with the romantic name 24-didipentane. It is an organic molecule that does occur in truffles, but it is far easier and cheaper to synthesize it from petroleum in a lab than to extract it from rare mushrooms. Real truffles have a very delicate aroma that disappears faster than your paycheck. What hits your nose from the bottle is a chemical concentrate. In essence, you are dressing your salad with a flavor identical to natural, but powered by excellent PR. It is like Chanel perfume bottled in a garage, except you are also eating it. Fact 4. White chocolate is the adopted child in the sweets family. Admit it, some of you love white chocolate. Those who say, I don't like dark chocolate, it tastes too much like chocolate. Well, I have news for you. You are not eating chocolate at all. Technically, for a product to be called chocolate, it must contain cocoa mass, the dark, aromatic, bitter part of the bean. White chocolate has none. Zero. The only thing from cocoa beans it contains is cocoa butter, and that's in the best case. In cheap bars, even that is replaced with palm oil and other fats. Essentially, white chocolate is a mixture of fat, milk powder, and a massive dose of sugar. It is not a confection, it is a brick of sweet fat. Calling it chocolate is like calling ketchup a tomato smoothie. The ingredients seem similar, but the essence is completely distorted. Fact 5. Baby carrots are victims of plastic surgery. Have you seen those cute, tiny, perfectly even carrots in bags? They look as if they were freshly dug from the dwarf's garden. The perfect snack. so fresh and young. And now we expose the truth. In nature, there is no variety of carrot that grows into identical little cylinders with rounded ends. Baby carrots are actually old, large, crooked, unattractive carrots that couldn't be sold normally. They are run through industrial vegetable cutters, shaved down on all sides, polished, and bathed in chlorine solution to kill bacteria and preserve color. They are not baby vegetables. They are amputated pieces of adult carrots processed on a harsh lathe. It is genius marketing. Take unsellable produce, cut off the ugly parts, call it a premium product, and sell it for double the price. Fact 6. Balsamic vinegar. Dyed sourness for big money. Real traditional balsamic vinegar from Modena is aged in barrels for at least 12 years. It is thick like syrup, complex in flavor, and so expensive you'd rather invest it than pour it on a salad. What you buy in the supermarket for 300 rubles is just wine vinegar with caramel coloring and sugar added for thickness. Look at the ingredients. If you see the word coloring or sugar, congratulations. You bought tinted acidified water. It is like buying a Rolex in an underground passage. It will tick, but you'd be ashamed to pass it on to your children. You are simply drizzling tomatoes with sweet vinegar, pretending to be an Italian aristocrat. Fact 7. Orange juice is a zombie in a carton. 100% juice. Freshly squeezed flavor. The packages shout. You pour a glass and think you're drinking health. In reality, to store juice for years in cartons, all oxygen is removed. The problem is that the flavor leaves with the oxygen. What remains is a tasteless dead liquid that can sit in huge tanks for months or even years. To bring this zombie back to life, flavor packs, aromatic mixtures developed by perfume companies are added before packaging. That is why juice of the same brand always tastes identical, regardless of the orange harvest. You are not drinking nature's gift. You are drinking resurrected concentrate with perfume. Refreshing, isn't it? Thought the scariest thing was dyed oranges? Ha! Hold my beer. By the way, we will talk about beer later. Now we'll visit the supermarket sections where you usually feel like a gourmet. Spoiler, you are not a gourmet. You are a victim of a pretty label. Fact 8. Chips in a tube are potato paper. You know these perfect chips, identical, stacked like soldiers on parade, geometric perfection. Do you really think there is a potato in nature that can be sliced into identical hyperbolas? The truth is that these chips relate to a real potato tuber the same way particle board relates to an oak forest. They are made from dehydrated potato flour mixed with rice starch, corn flour, and water. This creates a dough that is rolled into a thin sheet, cut into circles, curved, and fried. This is not fried potato. It is fried mashed potato with glue, shaped in a mold. You are eating potato cardboard sprinkled with bacon flavoring, but it does crunch beautifully, doesn't it? Fact 9. Grated Parmesan is a beaver's dream. You are too lazy to grate cheese, so you buy a packet of pre-grated Parmesan. Convenient, fast, very Italian. You sprinkle it on your pasta and think, what a creamy taste. Now look at the ingredients. Do you see the mysterious word cellulose? Do you know what it is? It is wood pulp, sawdust. Yes, plain ground sawdust. Manufacturers add it so the grated cheese does not clump into a solid mass. By law, such a packet can contain up to 10% wood. So when you eat pasta with this cheese, you are essentially chewing a stool. Pinocchio would be delighted with such a diet. Fact 10. Red fish is the gray mouse of the ocean. Salmon, trout, char. That bright pink or even red color of the fillet. We associate it with freshness and health. Wild salmon is indeed pink because it eats plenty of shrimp and krill. But the fish you buy in the store was raised on a farm. It lives in overcrowded conditions and eats feed made from soy flour. Its natural color is dirty gray. No one would buy gray salmon. It looks as if it died of depression. That is why farmers use a special shade chart, similar to a paint catalog in a hardware store called the Psalm Fan. They choose the desired color, from gentle pink to nuclear sunset, and simply add the corresponding dye to the fish feed. You are eating gray fish that has been given makeup from the inside. Enjoy your meal. Fact 11. Honey. Sweet deception. Honey is perhaps the most counterfeited product in human history. If you buy a pretty jar of clear liquid honey in a supermarket, there is a good chance that the bees never even met this product. Most industrial honey undergoes ultrafiltration. All pollen is removed. Why? To hide the origin. Without pollen, it is impossible to know where the honey was collected. Most often, it is cheap Chinese honey diluted with corn or rice syrup. It is just a sweet, sticky substance without any benefit. Winnie the Pooh, upon learning this, would likely fall into a diabetic coma from grief. Real honey crystallizes over time and does not look as pretty, while this golden tear will remain liquid for centuries like a plastic souvenir. Fact 12. Black olives are dyed green olives. You have probably heard that black olives and green olives are fruits of the same tree at different stages of ripeness. Green ones are young, black ones are ripe. A beautiful theory. In reality, harvesting fully ripe black olives is a logistical nightmare. They are soft, bruise easily, and spoil instantly, so producers do not bother. They pick firm green olives and place them in a lye bath. To make them turn black, they oxidize them by saturating them with oxygen in the presence of ferrous gluconate. Yes, iron. It is the iron that gives that deep coal-black color. You are eating unripe green fruits forced to turn black with the help of rust. And you wondered why they taste metallic? Fact 13. Tea bags, dust from the master's table, a tea ceremony, the aroma of mountains, pickers in hats on the slopes of Sri Lanka. Forget it. If you open an ordinary tea bag, you will not find leaves. You will find fine dust. In the industry, this is called dust and fannings, dust and scraps. These are the leftovers from tea production. What remains after sorting real loose-leaf tea? It is tea dust from the factory floor, swept up, packaged in paper, and sold to you as strong English breakfast. It brews instantly not because the tea is good, but because the surface area of this dust and water is enormous. You are drinking a waste infusion that gives color and bitterness, but almost no aroma. Fact 14. Vanilla, a greeting from beavers and lumberjacks. Vanilla is one of the most expensive spices in the world. Orchid pods pollinated by hand. Romance. But if you buy cheap vanilla ice cream or cookies, there is no orchid involved. There is synthetic vanillin, and here is where it gets interesting. Where do they get it? It used to be extracted from beaver castoreum, the secretion from the anal glands of this rodent. Yes, castoreum, but milking beavers is difficult and expensive. So relax. Today, almost 85% of all vanillin in the world is produced from guaiacol, a petrochemical product, or lignin, a byproduct of the paper industry. Simply put, your vanilla cupcake smells like either oil or processed wood. But it smells good, no argument there. Chemistry works wonders. Still here. Brave people or just very hungry ones. We have already established that your aristocratic dinner is a young chemist's starter kit. But wait, we haven't even reached healthy food yet. There the lies are not just bold. They are shameless, like a man selling air in a megacity. Fact 15. Iced green tea is sweet soda without bubbles. You buy a bottle of cold green tea on a hot day. The label shows a mint leaf, a drop of dew, and a hieroglyph meaning health or soup with a cat. You won't check anyway. You drink it and feel like a Zen Buddhist cleansing your body. Wake up, Neo. This bottle contains as much sugar as cola, sometimes even more. The tiny amount of tea extract in it is killed by preservatives and citric acid. Antioxidant benefits? Forget it. To get any benefit from this drink, you would have to drink 20 liters. And then you would not die from old age, but from diabetes or a ruptured bladder. You are drinking tinted syrup that successfully pretends to be the beverage of long livers. Fact 16. Blueberries in muffins are dyed fat balls. You buy a blueberry muffin. You see these appetizing blueberries inside the dough. You think the baker lovingly added the gifts of the forest. Look at the ingredients. If you see the words blueberry pieces or fruit imitation, then there are no real berries. These are tiny lumps made of starch, corn syrup, hydrogenated oil, and dyes. Blue number 2 and red number 40. Why don't they use real blueberries? Because they are expensive, they leak during baking, and they turn the dough an ugly color. But these blue petrochemical beads are eternal. They will survive a nuclear war. You are eating a fake berry that is compositionally closer to modeling clay than to a plant. Fact 17. Processed cheese slices, plastic with cheese flavor. Those square slices in individual wrappers melt perfectly on a burger. Do you know why they melt so perfectly? Because they are not exactly cheese. The package often says cheese product or sandwich slice. By law in many countries, this cannot be called cheese because it contains less than 51% real milk. The rest is whey, emulsifiers, vegetable oils, and sodium citrate. If you try to burn such a slice with a lighter, it will not melt or drip. It will blacken and ignite like a piece of plastic, releasing the smell of burnt chemicals. This is the Frankenstein of the dairy world. Tasty, no doubt, but your body digests it with the same confusion as if you had eaten the plastic wrapper. Fact 18. Maple syrup, corn imposter. In movies, heroes pour thick maple syrup over pancakes. It's a symbol of Canada, the natural sap of a tree. You go to the store, buy a bottle, and pour it over your pancakes. Stop. Look at the price. Real maple syrup is extremely hard to produce. You need to evaporate 40 liters of sap to get 1 liter of syrup. It is expensive. What sits on the shelf of a regular supermarket is corn syrup with high fructose content, thickeners, and sotalone extract. Sotalone is a substance obtained from fenugreek, a plant, and it smells like burnt sugar and maple. You are eating a cheap sugar substitute with the aroma of the Canadian dream. No trees were harmed, only your pancreas suffered. Fact 19. Bouillon cubes. Salt pressed into a cube. Rich chicken broth in 2 minutes, promises the commercial. You throw a golden cube into boiling water, and the kitchen fills with aroma. Let's take this cube apart. 80% of it is salt and cheap vegetable fats. Palm oil. Hello there. Another 15% is monosodium glutamate, which tricks your brain into thinking you are eating meat. And where is the chicken? In the best case, it is 1% dried powder from bones and skin, which appears at the very end of the ingredient list after the riboflavin coloring. The chicken did not participate in making this soup. It did not even walk past the factory. You are drinking hot brine with flavor enhancers. Tasty? Yes. Healthy? Well, if your goal is to pickle yourself from the inside like dried salted vobla, then vary. Fact 20. Extra virgin olive oil, a mafia cocktail. You pay decent money for a bottle labeled first cold pressing, imagining Italian farmers pressing olives by hand while singing Celentano songs. The reality is this: the olive oil market is one of the most corrupt in the world. In Italy, there is even a term, agromafia. A huge amount of oil exported as extra virgin is actually diluted with cheap sunflower, soy, or canola oil, with added chlorophyll for color and beta-carotene for taste. Experts claim that up to 70% of elite oils in supermarkets are fake. You are frying potatoes in a blend of cheap fats sold at the price of liquid gold. Don Corleone would approve this business plan. Think nothing can surprise you anymore? You've accepted plastic cheese and petroleum vanilla. Now I'm going for your soul. We'll talk about the products you consider the foundation of your diet. Spoiler, even your sandwich is lying straight to your face. Fact 21. Red caviar, gelatinous fraud. New Year's Eve, a sandwich with butter and red caviar. A classic. You buy a jar on sale, open it, and inside are perfectly identical little spheres. If in your mouth the egg does not pop with a pleasant snap, but sticks to your teeth or rolls around like a rubber ball, congratulations, you are eating an imitation made from seaweed, sodium alginate, gelatin, fish broth, and coloring. There is a simple test. Drop an egg into hot water. The real one will turn white because the protein coagulates. The fake one will either dissolve, tinting the water, or stay floating, staring at you with its unblinking red eye. You are paying for a delicacy but eating fish-flavored jelly. A perfect snack for bootleg vodka. Complete harmony. Fact 22. Borodinsky and black bread are white bread with a fake tan. As a conscientious person, you decide, enough with white bread, it's empty, I'll eat black bread, it's healthy, and you buy a dark loaf. Look at the label. Real rye bread is dense, heavy, and sour, but for most manufacturers, baking it is time-consuming and expensive. So they take regular wheat flour, Add a little rye flour for the smell and achieve the dark color with malt extract or caramel coloring. It is the same sugar colorant used to dye cola. Essentially, you are eating ordinary white bread that simply went to the tanning salon to look tougher and more expensive. This is not about health. It is camouflage for a carbohydrate bomb. Fact 23. Soy sauce, a 3-day chemical attack. Real soy sauce should ferment in barrels under the sun from 6 months to 2 years. It is a complex process of fermenting soy, but that cheap sauce in which you dip dumplings or rolls is made by acid hydrolysis. Soy meal is flooded with hydrochloric acid, boiled for a couple of days, neutralized with alkali. Then coloring, flavoring, and a bucket of salt are added. The whole process takes 3 days. No bacteria, no nature. Pure, harsh chemistry. This sauce even contains carcinogens, chloropropanols, as a free bonus. But it is cheap. Calling it soy sauce is like calling doshirak instant noodles Italian pasta. Fact 24. Store-bought sour cream, palm cream. In our sour cream, the spoon stands upright, the producer proudly declares, and you believe it, thinking it's because of the fat content. The spoon stands not because the cream is rich, but because they dumped in starch, carrageenan, a thickener from seaweed, and vegetable fats. Often, instead of dairy cream, they use palm oil, which holds its shape perfectly and does not spoil for months. It is easy to check. Add a drop of iodine. If it turns blue, you are eating starchy paste. Dissolve it in hot water. Real sour cream will dissolve into a milky liquid, while the fake will break into flakes and greasy spots. The spoon stands not because of quality, but because it got stuck in the texture of cheap filler. Fact 25. Instant coffee, the dust of Brazilian roads. The morning starts with coffee. If you are pouring granules into your cup, your morning starts with a lie. To produce instant coffee, they use the cheapest, defective, substandard Robusta beans, the ones that are embarrassing to sell whole. They are boiled for hours into a black tar, dried, and then the aroma is returned, because after such boiling, the coffee doesn't smell like anything. Artificial coffee oils and aromas are added to the jar. It doesn't energize you gently, but hits you like a sledgehammer because of the high caffeine content in cheap Robusta and its acidity. This is not a drink for gourmets. It is functional fuel with a smell that only vaguely resembles a coffee shop. Fact 26. Movie theater popcorn, yellow lie. You go to the movies, grab a bucket of popcorn, and say, "With extra butter, please." They pour a yellow liquid over it. Tasty, greasy. But it is not butter. Real butter burns when heated and becomes soft, making the popcorn soggy. What they pour in cinemas is coconut or soybean oil with diacetyl flavoring, beta-carotene for color, and anti-foaming additives. This buttery aroma is created in a lab to make your mouth water as soon as you enter the mall. You are eating flavored fat that has never seen a cow, but clogs your blood vessels beautifully. Enjoy the movie. Fact 27. Meat glue, steak from scraps. You go to a restaurant or buy a nice round beef medallion at the store. It looks like a solid piece of meat. You think, what a noble cut. In reality, it may be a meat Frankenstein. There is a powder called transglutaminase, or simply meat glue. It allows you to take a pile of cheap trimmings, sinews, and leftovers, sprinkle them with this powder, roll them into a log, and leave it overnight. By morning, it becomes a solid monolith. You cannot tear it apart with your hands, and it will not fall apart during frying. You are paying for a premium steak, but eating a glued puzzle made from slaughterhouse scraps. It is Lego for adults. Only the pieces are made from cow, and the glue is made from bacteria. Fact 28. Store-bought shashlik. Resurrection of the dead. Summer, the daca, and you are too lazy to marinate meat yourself. You grab a bucket of ready-made shashlik in the supermarket, in mayonnaise, in vinegar, Caucasian style. Remember the rule, only meat that has already begun to feel sad on the shelf ends up in marinade. If its shelf life is about to expire and the piece begins to smell like eternity, they don't throw it away. They send it to the marinade department. A ton of onions, liters of vinegar, and a bucket of pepper can kill any corpse smell or taste. You are eating meat that was given a second chance. This is not marinating, this is embalming. Fact 29. The red coloring in yogurt is crushed insects. Strawberry yogurt, marmalade, sausage, red candies. That pleasant, natural pink color. The packaging proudly states, natural coloring, carmine. Sounds like the name of a gemstone, right? But in reality, carmine is extracted from cochineal insects, tiny parasitic bugs that live on cacti. They are collected, dried, and ground into powder. To get half a kilogram of dye, you must destroy around 70,000 insects. So when you eat that delicate strawberry dessert, you are essentially enjoying an insect extract. Bon appétit, lovers of the exotic. Fact 30. Bottled kvass is soda with a bread aroma. Kvass is our national pride, a fermented drink, alive and strong. But look at a bottle of cheap kvass in the store. If the ingredients show carbon dioxide, flavoring, sweetener, and citric acid, this is not kvass. This is Coca-Cola wearing a traditional Russian shirt. Real kvass carbonates itself through fermentation. This drink was simply mixed in a vat. Water, rye malt concentrate, maybe some sugar, and gas from a cylinder. It is an imitation. Brown sweet water that has as much to do with tradition as instant noodles have with Italian pasta. Fact 31. Ground coffee with a surprise from insects. You buy a pack of pre-ground coffee because you are too lazy to grind beans. Convenient, but risky. Large coffee warehouses cannot be made sterile. Cockroaches and other bugs always live there. When coffee is roasted and ground, it is impossible to remove these protein additions. The FDA in the United States officially allows a certain percentage of insect matter in ground coffee because it is technologically unavoidable. When you brew ground coffee, you are always brewing a small percentage of roasted cockroaches. Want a clean drink? Buy whole beans and grind them yourself. At least you can see what you are putting into the grinder. Fact 32. Sea scallops, stamped out stingray. Sea scallops are an expensive delicacy, but if you see suspiciously uniform, perfectly white little cylinders sold at a low price, know that you are being deceived. Often, what is sold as scallops is cut-out fish. They take stingray wings or small shark pieces, which are cheap and tough, place them under a die-cutting press, and punch out circles like cookies from dough. Then they soak them in phosphate so they soften and absorb water. In the end, you are eating cheap fish that has undergone plastic surgery to look like an elite mollusk. Fact 33. Bottled water is the most expensive tap water. And now the finale. The king of scams. You buy water in a plastic bottle because it is clean, artesian, from the peaks of the Alps. Look at the small print. If it says purified water, central water supply, or category 1, congratulations. It is ordinary tap water that has been run through additional filters and bottled. Manufacturers take water that costs pennies per cubic meter and sell it to you at the price of gasoline simply by putting it into plastic. It is the most brilliant business in history, selling people what already flows from their own taps with a markup of 3,000%. That's it. Now your trip to the store will become a bomb disposal mission. You will read labels, squint suspiciously, and doubt every jar. Life will get harder, but at least you will stop chewing sawdust priced like Parmesan. History is not only wars and dates, it is also what lies on your plate. And trust me, the myths there are no fewer. If your stomach is in shock but your brain wants more, be sure to watch the other videos on this channel. There we expose historical fakes you believed in since school. Subscribe, leave a like, and remember, trust, but read the ingredients. See you soon.